Okay, most runners neglect strengthening their hamstrings. We've got to make them robust, yeah. We've got to let them handle the training volume and the intensity. But you can imagine how explosive a fast interval session is or a hill repeat session. So we want them to be powerful, and we want the vast majority of the propulsion to be coming from the big power muscles, the glutes and the hamstrings. If you neglect strength in general, but especially making the glutes, hamstrings, quads, lower legs, back and front strong, you're going to not be as robust, so you'll get injured more often or not be able to push, and therefore you'll hit a plateau quicker or just keep taking setbacks instead of that forward motion that we're looking, that forward progression. And I get it. We also need to think about time. You don't have the time for recovery, for strength, for ice baths, for sauna, everything else that a professional athlete would be doing. So we've got to make this very time efficient. This is an exercise that I do religiously on a weekly basis, sometimes twice a week, but I'll do it the day after a long run, on the Monday, either immediately after a recovery run or 6 hours later in the afternoon, evening. And I'll do this, and what you want to feel is if you're not doing this, then you can feel that you don't have that extra gear when it comes to something like a hill session or an interval session. And once you get to that point where you feel it is feeding into your training, you're not going to want to stop doing it. And it's going to sort of hardwire that habit consistently on a weekly basis. And that's what we want. This will only take you 4 or 5 minutes maximum. Now, before I get into the movement, I want to make sure the hamstrings are warmed up and ready. And so, in addition to your typical dynamic stretching, what I'm going to do is just bring the hamstring up and feel the glute firing and the hamstring firing as I'm bringing it up, and just 2 times 10 on both sides. You'll already be able to feel the exact muscles engaging that we're going to be working on. Then 2 times 10 each side, and we're going to get into the exercise. And essentially what it is a reverse plank. So you want your elbows to be shoulder width apart, so you're resting on your skeleton and not using your upper body to keep you up. So all that looks like is a very 90 degree, I'm just feeling on my skeleton, and then I'm lifting my leg up and I'm just holding for 5 seconds. Toe, ankle, knee, hip is all aligned. I'm just feeling the hamstring doing the work. These isometric holds, and it's tough at first. So if you need to do, I will do 3 times 20 by 5 seconds. So 3 times 20, each leg for 5 seconds. If you need to start with just 2 or 3 seconds per hold and start with 10 and work your way up, that's what you need to do. Everything gradual in running. Nicely feel it all on the hamstring. It's perfect. You can even see the hamstring engage. But you can really feel it. You can play around with that movement and play around with the other leg to make it more difficult. But if you've not been working on your hamstrings and you just implement this exercise and get it to a point where you can do 3 times 20, 5 seconds hold on each leg, imagine the difference that is. If you've not been working specifically on strength, if you've not seen that strength feed into your running, and you've not specifically worked on hamstrings to make them robust and more powerful, there's lots of progressions from here where you can make that exercise more difficult. You can do different exercises for the hamstrings. And of course, we're tapping into that hamstring strength when we're doing a deadlift, when we're doing a lunge even. So we always want them to be solid, but you're gonna know about it if that is a weak spot. And what it will look like is potentially you're getting cramps in that area. That's the first area to cramp. It might be that that's the first area to pull or micro tear, and that's going to take you out for a couple of weeks. You don't want those setbacks, and the less that you have those setbacks, the more forward progress you're gonna have.